Today's video is sponsored and brought to you by Bespoke Post. Alright, good afternoon guys. In case you're new here, my name's Jay. My wife and I, Jen, have this off-grid cabin in northern Michigan. We have been building this cabin here behind me for the last couple years. But today's video is going to be not about the cabin, but about the solar system that we have, the solar power system. We have 1,000 watts of Renogy 100 watt panels there, 8 Renogy AGM batteries. Last year we had some issues with these AGMs getting a little cold, working a little less efficient than normal. And because we're in northern Michigan, the climate doesn't allow us to use lithium iron phosphate batteries due to the extreme cold we get here for 4 to 6 months out of the year. These AGM batteries are what we're using. The battery bank will not freeze until -75, but they do work less efficiently, and it's not good for the batteries to be that cold. But what we're going to experiment with today is I'm just kind of basing what I'm doing here off of the new lithium iron phosphate batteries having heating pads in them. And I was watching good old Will Prost on one of his videos about a year ago, and he mentioned these RV heating pads. Let me show them to you real quick. Today's video is sponsored by Bespoke Post. Bespoke Post sent us a couple of boxes here from their monthly subscription, and we'd like to show them to you guys. Bespoke Post sent us the swing kit, the retreat kit, and the fillet kit. Some of the cool new products include like outdoor gear, barware, home and kitchen goods, and clothing. So guys, we had Bespoke Post include in our membership the fillet kit. Comes with a couple of beautiful knives. We're excited to use these when we cook our next meal. Bespoke Post also sent us the swing kit. In the swing kit comes the tinder scraper, the hatchet, and sheath. So we're really excited to use the hatchet here for our kindling and firewood needs. Also sent us the retreat kit. It includes a travel blanket and a travel hammock. Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering a box of awesome, top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands. It's free to join. Every month they introduce their members to cool new products, outdoor gear, barware, home and kitchen goods, clothing, and more. Based on a preference quiz members fill out when signing up, the box lineups change every month. Each box of awesome has around $70 in value, but you only pay a fraction of the price. 90% of the products in Bespoke Post boxes come from small brands, many of which are based right here in the US. With a Bespoke Post membership, you only pay for what you want. You'll get a box of awesome assigned to you each month based on the quiz you take when signing up. And before it's shipped, you'll get a preview of what comes inside to decide if you'd like to keep it, swap it for a different box or offer, or skip the month entirely for absolutely no charge. Hey guys, if you really enjoyed the hammock and pillow and blanket that comes with the retreat package, we've used it a lot here on our little vacation. It's going to be perfect for when we do little hikes. It's lightweight, easy to carry, easy to travel with. To get started with your membership and to get 20% off your first box of awesome, click the link in the description box below, and at checkout use our code OGJJ20, all caps, or go to bespokepost.com/OGJJ20. Thanks Bespoke Post for sponsoring this video. We appreciate you, and let's get back to the video real quick. These are RV heating tank heater pads. They are meant to go up underneath your RV and stick to your water tank, your black water tank, and your gray water tank. Will Prost kind of mentioned using these heater pads to heat even possibly lithium iron phosphate batteries, but what we're going to do today is lift up our battery bank an inch or two, build casing around most of the components here in the solar shed. Anyway, we're going to install these heater pads in a fashion that we can turn them on. It'll keep the batteries around 45 to 65 degrees in the winter. They are DC heater pads. They are meant to run on 12 volt. Now we have our solar system configured in a 24 volt fashion. They are wired in series to create 24 volt. Well, these heater pads are 12 volts, so we did buy a converter to go from 24 volt to 12 volt. We're gonna mount that and run the heater pads on that. Also going to have an on-off switch so we can turn them on when we want to and leave them off. Really, we only get in the single digits here a couple dozen times over the winter. Typically, we hover in the teens, the 20s. So I'm thinking I'm not going to use this system much unless it's in the single digits or sub-zero temperatures. But we'll see. It's an experiment. This is just to kind of help the batteries, help them work a little more efficiently. I think it's 3 o'clock right now. We're doing about 600 watts right now at 3 o'clock. These RV heater pads run about 65 watts a piece. So I guess that's 130 watts. If we're on a nice sunny day and it's below freezing, we're gonna run them. And it's going to keep this whole area warm, hopefully. They're going to be on a switch, so I could turn them on and off manually. They do have internal thermostat to kick off at 65 degrees, but I just want to be able to turn them on and off myself manually if we get in the really, really cold temperatures. So let me get this cleaned up, and I could start this project. One thing I would really like to do, I would like to thank Belladonna for sending us these heater pads. I mentioned them in our last big solar video where I talked about our functioning system and how it's treating us for the last year, our 1-year review. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I talked about these heater pads in that video. Belladonna was sweet enough to send them to us from our Amazon wish list. So thank you, Belladonna, for being so kind. Appreciate you tons. So guys, just peeking at this, these RV tank heaters come with a 10 amp inline fuse. So we'll put this in the positive side, I believe, of the wiring. There's 2 heater pads in here. Now we could maybe get away with just doing one. We could either put both pads under it, one underneath this one, and one underneath this one, or one in the middle, like so. I think one's efficient, and that'll only be 65 watts. Like I said, this is made for a 2-pack system, one for gray water tank, one for black water tank, so your RV tanks don't freeze in the winter time. These are meant to be used only when the tanks are full, so there's a lot of water to heat. If these get too warm, they will shut off at 65. So that's why I'm not worried about them hurting the batteries. So guys, I ordered this on Amazon. It's a 30 amp DC to DC converter from 24 volts down to 12 volts. So in is the red and black from the 24 volt batteries, and out is the black and yellow. All right guys, I got this side wedged up. We're working on this side, so what I'm gonna do is mount one of the pads to one of these foam boards and slide it right underneath there. I'm still debating how exactly to configure these, whether to put 2 of them under the whole thing. So guys, can you see that? Like the heating, looks like the heating part's right here. And it's surrounded by sticky foam. So it's not quite this big. Not quite as big. I'm gonna leave the paper on. Put these right next to each other, tape it down to the foam board, and slide it underneath there. The reason I'm leaving the tape on, or the paper on, is because I don't want it to stick to the batteries and not ever be able to come off. Alright guys, there we go. That's what you get. Probably not protocol, but trying to do this the lazy way, I guess, and I have to tighten all these back down anyway, so might as well just freaking disconnect them and reconnect them. So dumb. Alright guys, like many projects around here, especially when you're winging it like myself, didn't go quite as I planned. I was hoping to be able to just slide this under here, but I ended up having to take the batteries and splitting it into two banks and teetering it and sliding it under. So, like I said, by the time I jerked everything around and moved everything around, I would have had to tighten everything down anyway. So I guess it's a good time to check all my connections anyway. So, guys, this system's been working pretty good for us for about a year. Last winter, it did struggle a little bit in the cold, and during the first part of the winter, like December, January, we didn't get as much sun as you would hope with solar. And yeah, it still stayed above 50%, and I only had to use the charger with the generator one time when we were leaving for a week. So, and it was low and I couldn't keep an eye on it. So I did not get the pads wired in, so we'll have to do that tomorrow. So hang out with me for a little bit and we'll do the second half of this tomorrow. All right, see you soon. So guys, I was going through my parents' old shed where I had some random stuff from work and supplies and stuff that I didn't feel like might be useful someday. Old motors and old pumps and stuff. And I found this little old inverter that had a cigarette plug on it, an inline 10 amp fuse, and then a plug. Well, I'm gonna real quick like strip this off, this plug, because I don't have a plug to the other end. I think I'm going to use this as like a temporary plug into the generator and turn those little heating pads on that I put underneath the battery bank. I'm going to see if that changes the temperature of anything. The generator has a 12-volt cigarette plug, and maybe while I'm running the generator and running the DC charger, I might as well be running those little heating pads too, which is 130 watts. And this will take like probably 10 or 15 minutes to wire up. I mean, it won't be like a really good permanent setup, but I can at least test everything while I do that. So, and I'm gonna wire this in and show you how I got this. This is all perfect. This is perfect. Like I said, just temporary kind of until I figure out, you know, a toggle switch and some kind of switch I want to use to heat these batteries once in a while. But I'm only gonna be able to heat the batteries pretty much when I'm running the generator or we have really sunny days. You know, we literally haven't had but maybe 5 sunny days in 5-6 weeks. Just enough to keep the battery bank and the solar system for the cabin from going completely dead. I mean, just enough. And we've been gone a little bit too, so it gets a break when we're not here and recharges. But anyway, I'm gonna plug this in real quick, or wire this up real quick. Guys, I'm just stripping the wires here. These look like 10 gauge wires. These are pretty heavy duty. Like I said, this was on a little inverter. It was like a car inverter, like one of just little cheapies. I don't know, probably a couple 100 watts. So we got the 2 grounds from the 2 heating pads, and we got the ground from the power source. I'll twist these all together. Like I said, this is just temporary. Let's see if we can tell there's a difference. Hopefully the 12 volt. There you go, done. This way I can turn it on and off easily. This fuse is still good. This is 10 amp. Oh, this is a 15 amp fuse. Well, maybe we'll put a 10 amp in there. Let's start the generator up. Plug in the battery charger and see what we got. Guys, I got this thing set up with 10 amps pushing through the DC charger, and I guess 8 or 10 amps pushing through the cigarette plug to those heaters. I can't tell if those heaters are working yet, so we'll see. I can't really put my hand on them and see if they're warm or not, so I'm gonna let it go for a little bit, watch it. I mean, the DC charger's working for sure, but it only pumps 10 amps into those things, and that's a big battery bank for 10 amps. It basically just keeps it from going dead. So I should get a better DC charger that can pump 20-30 amps into that battery bank, so I don't have to run my generator so long. Anyway, I'm gonna watch these heater pads for a little bit. All right, guys. So I've been using the generator a lot this winter. Not every day, but I don't know if we just had unusually sunny winter last winter. I know we did, because I have videos and pictures of us through the whole winter, and it was beautiful a lot of the winter. This winter, we literally haven't seen the sun but for 10 minutes or half a day, maybe 5 times in the last 3 months. It's ridiculous. And, you know, everybody says that, and like I said, last year was just a crazy winter, I guess, because I only use the generator like 2 or 3 times at the most to charge the bank up. And this year I've been using it every few days. And I could use the little tiny generator for charging just the battery bank, and it does a good job of, you know, charging the battery bank, and I can use it to heat the battery bank, which I put some heating pads. I don't know if I came out with that video yet, because it's kind of a, I was waiting to have some experience with it, but I can use that to do the battery bank, but not much else. Guys, just to give you an idea, I just plugged in the 30 amp plug, which is powering the whole cabin. That's going to also run the chop saw while we're doing pine tongue and groove, and it's putting power to this DC charger that's powering my battery bank, or charging my battery bank. So it's at 26 volts right now, the battery, but that's just because there's juice going into it. We're getting 100 watts or 100 volts and 1.7 amps from the solar panels, which is, you know, that's better than we've been getting for weeks. I think we pushed 500 watts in there one time for half an hour. And like I said, there's, so like I said, 150 watts going in there right now because the sun's peeking out. Before I hooked up the generator and before the sun came out for a minute, the battery bank was at 24.4 or 24.6, I can't remember. So it's on the low end. I mean, it's almost half dead. You don't want to drain lead acids or sealed lead acid, lead acid battery down below 24 volts, really, is from my understanding. So anyway, so that generator is going to run for the day while we do this little troublemaker. Yeah, what? Anyway, we're capitalizing on that generator running. It'll, you know, that one sucks a little bit more gas. See, the little one, I'll show you the little one. This little guy sucks up like a gallon every 8 hours, so it's no big deal to run, and it's quiet. But yeah, I have this old crappy one, this old little knockoff generator, and I can plug this directly into here, and then this 12-volt line is running my battery bank heaters that I put in, which I don't know if I'll have that video up by the time you see this or not, but I'm making it. So a little inline fuse, cigarette lighter. That draws some power out of the 12 volt, so it's multi-function. Again, I'm just trying to capitalize on all my juice. And I'll run that little generator, you know, if it's really, really cold and I want to heat the batteries up a little